The Monica McNutt stuff, and specifically with this level of media, we're talking about with ESPN, their issue with Caitlin Clark.
The one thing that I cannot deny is the amount of little girls that were showing up to follow her.
Why her?
Well, but she was a white girl from the middle of America.
Caitlin Clark, what makes her great is not that she's a white girl from middle America. She is objectively an incredible basketball player.
No doubt.
While Caitlin is fantastic and I think she's going to have an incredible career in the WNBA, there are women that were worthy of coverage prior to her arriving, and I just will not be silenced when it comes to that.
If it's about race, why can't I name another player on that Iowa team?
No one cares about Monica McDougal. Monica says things like this to bring attention to herself.
Just when you thought the Caitlin Clark criticism had peaked, ESPN's Monica McNutt took things to a whole new level, and it backfired in spectacular fashion. What started as a heated exchange over Clark's impact on women's basketball quickly spiraled into a firestorm of public backlash, with fans, analysts, and even former players stepping in to defend Clark.
Yet, instead of appreciating Clark for leading the WNBA out of the abyss and into the mainstream conversation, mean girls and race clowns met her with resistance. Because Caitlin Clark's white, that's why little girls have gravitated towards her. I think what she's saying is ridiculous, and to tie it to little girls, you're going as low as humanly possible at this point.
Why have all these fans come to see Caitlin? And all the little suburban white girls have hopped on board because Caitlin Clark, she resonates with them more so than the angry black lesbians who dominate the WNBA.
But what exactly did Monica say that sparked this outrage? And why did so many rush to call her out? Stay tuned, because this isn't just about basketball anymore. This is about double standards, media agendas, and a showdown that's dividing the entire WNBA community.
But she was a white girl from the middle of America.
WNBA's attendance had a record-breaking high in 20 years with a total of 2.3 million fans attending games. You know what the increase was from 2024 to 2023 in attendance? 48%. That's massive. That's the Caitlin Clark effect.
Phenomenon, yeah.
If Caitlin Clark gets injured, it's over with. Tom.
It all started during what should have been a standard segment on ESPN. Monica McNutt, respected in many circles for her basketball analysis, didn't hold back when Caitlin Clark's name came up. But instead of acknowledging the undeniable buzz Clark has brought to the league, packed arenas, record-breaking viewership, and national headlines, McNutt took a sharp left turn.
Prevailing narrative that has been created around this season's WNBA play is that it's the league versus Caitlin Clark. And that is just absolutely false. It is unfair to the women that have been there building this league to this moment so that Caitlin Clark's popularity could take it to the next level.
There's a method to this madness. When given a chance to talk about Caitlin Clark, they're always going to racialize it and try to demonize Caitlin Clark's fan base.
She questioned whether Caitlin's rise was truly about skill or something else entirely. Without naming it outright, she hinted at race, privilege, and media favoritism. The undertone was clear. That Clark was being overhyped, possibly at the expense of black players who've been grinding in the league for years. It wasn't just what she said, it was how she said it.
Former black players have decided, hey, we're going to hate on Caitlin Clark constantly to elevate ourselves, but also trigger her fans so that they'll keep coming to games and rooting for her, and it's going to elevate the entire league.
Every single one of you WNBA players, you better pray that Caitlin Clark doesn't get injured, because she's keeping your league afloat.
Juju Watkins goes down with a devastating injury that might keep her out next season. God forbid. If the same thing happens to Caitlin Clark, the WNBA will not survive. You have one young woman carrying the entire league. And Monica McDougal and her pretend friends in the media, they are doing everything they can to piss off her fan base.
Dismissive, sharp, and dripping with condescension, as if Clark's presence was somehow an intrusion. Monica insisted there were better players than Caitlin who weren't getting the same attention, pointing fingers at the media for pushing a single narrative. But in doing so, she ignited a firestorm that couldn't be contained.
The Monica McNutt stuff, and specifically with this level of media, we're talking about with ESPN, their issue with Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark represents Trump America, MAGA America. They see her and they say, this is someone that everybody who roots for probably voted for Donald Trump, and I hate Donald Trump, and I hate those red hats, and I hate everything that represents to me, because to me, that represents racism.
Social media exploded. Fans didn't just disagree, they erupted. Within minutes, clips of the segment went viral, with thousands calling McNutt out for minimizing Clark's achievements. Some questioned why. Every time Clark excels, it's framed as a controversy. Why is her success always followed by a critique? Why does her popularity trigger such resistance instead of celebration?
She's different. She's a white girl from the middle of corn country.
They like Caitlin Clark because she's not a victim, because she doesn't seem to be angry. And so they find her relatable.
Even neutral analysts stepped in. Many argued that Clark is being judged on a curve no rookie has ever faced. She's expected to carry the league, absorb hate, make history, and stay silent through it all. And now she's also being blamed for the media narratives she never created.
She's not playing with anger. She's not playing with a sense of entitlement. And yes, people find that relatable.
McNutt may have tried to challenge the system, but in the process, she painted a target on the wrong person. One who's just doing her job and doing it damn well. And while Monica might have assumed her take would spark debate, what she got instead was a tidal wave of criticism, one that exposed just how deep this divide runs in the world of women's basketball.
What happened is Caitlin Clark in her sophomore year and really in her junior year just started excelling and doing things that nobody had ever seen a female basketball player do. Like nobody had consistently been shooting these from the logo passes.
She shoots logo threes, passes the ball like Magic Johnson, scores a lot of points, leads the league in assists. She's a great, great player, and she plays and shoots and releases the ball like Steph Curry. So there's the attraction to the exciting style of play.
The backlash Monica McNutt faced wasn't just from random viewers online. It came from every direction. Fans, former players, sports journalists. Even those who usually agree with her found themselves pausing. Why? Because it was no longer about one comment. It was about a growing pattern. A pattern where every move Caitlin Clark makes is dissected, challenged, and used to ignite outrage.
She's not Angel Reese, who can barely make a layup. She's not Asia Wilson, who is 6'4" or 6'5" and completely unrelatable to most women. And little girls said, hey, I can relate to Caitlin Clark. She's like us. She has a boyfriend. There's a lot of parents that feel real comfortable taking their kids to a game.
Often by people in positions of influence. Some fans brought up the uncomfortable truth. Caitlin isn't the one creating the headlines, yet she's constantly punished for them. The networks promote her, the sponsors line up for her, the fans show up in record numbers for her. But instead of applauding the momentum, voices like Monica's are trying to drag her down under the weight of a debate she never asked for.
Monica has figured out a way to make the WNBA relevant and profitable long term. The lady from the BBC, she seems to be asking Monica McDougal how the WNBA can maintain their momentum from last season. There's an easy answer to that question. More than likely, they can't.
Two things. I think it has to show up in our storytelling, and it has to be encouraged by our families.
Yeah.
To me, right? And so covering the WNBA this past season, Caitlin Clark's rookie year, for all of the conversation that surrounded her, some which was fair and some which wasn't, the one thing that I cannot deny is the amount of little girls that were showing up to follow her, little girls with their parents and the fervor and the energy there.
Why her?
Same thing.
Why her?
Well, I was just about to say same thing for Angel Reese when I had a chance to cover their games. But I think Caitlin represented, and again, some of this to me probably is not fair to her because it was not anything that she said or was truly based on her personality, but she was a white girl from the middle of America. And so she represented a whole lot to a lot of people, whether that is truly what she prescribed to or not. We can all say she is a dynamic basketball player and a force both on the court and the marketing sense. But I do think same thing with folks that may have fallen in love with Angel Reese that she may or may not have agreed with everything they had to say either. We attach our fandom to these icons for all types of reasons.
Where are these Angel Reese fans? When I see Chicago Bravado games on TV, the only things I see are missed layups and empty seats.
It's not Caitlin Clark walking into the room saying, I deserve more. It's the cameras that follow her, the crowds that chant her name, and the stats she delivers night after night. She's not demanding attention, she's earning it.
Caitlin Clark, she ran away with number one. I don't think that should surprise us. She came away with number one. Caitlin Clark is redefining the entire landscape of women's sports. Her dominance on the court has shattered outdated narratives about women's sports, proving that women's basketball can be just as marketable and widely watched as men's. But the Caitlin Clark effect goes far beyond her performance. It's reshaping the entire sports landscape. Her presence alone boosts the WNBA attendance by 105% compared to games without her, while road games featuring her Indiana Fever see an 87% increase in opponent home attendance. Her rookie debut sparked a staggering 200% jump in WNBA viewership, while Fever home games drew a league-high 186,000 fans last season, a 265% increase from 2023.
Monica's comments, whether intentional or not, struck a deeper nerve in the WNBA ecosystem. Some felt it exposed a jealousy simmering beneath the surface. After all, how many rookies come in and instantly shift an entire league's narrative? Not many. Caitlin's presence is uncomfortable because it's disruptive. It changes how marketing works, it changes how teams play, and it changes who gets talked about. That kind of change rarely comes easy, and rarely comes without resistance. But here's the twist no one saw coming. The very argument Monica tried to make about fairness, equity, and visibility ended up reinforcing the exact inequality she was supposedly criticizing.
Who's going to be the next face of the NBA? We don't get to decide that. The marketplace decides that. The people have chosen Caitlin Clark. They enjoy watching her play, her style, her energy, her shot. Whether it's because her game mirrors one of the greatest players in the NBA in Steph Curry or not, I don't know what it is. It's an intangible thing, right? Yes, we can say she's a dog. Okay, there's been other dogs. Okay, she's a great shooter. There's been other great shooters. Mm-hmm. She has it. She's got the thing. I remember when the WNBA started. I was thrilled. I was a fan. I couldn't believe it was an opportunity for me, a 5'2", 97-pound girl, to go play professional basketball. That wasn't going to happen for me. But the idea that it existed was special to me. And now she's offering that to not just little girls, but little boys as well. She's spread the fan base. So
instead of celebrating all players, her comments created a divide. Caitlin versus everyone else. And that's what fans pushed back on. They weren't just defending Clark. They were defending the idea that greatness doesn't need to be silenced to make room for others. You can recognize Caitlin's talent without erasing someone else's. The game is big enough for multiple stars, but the media's attempt to pit them against each other is shrinking the space instead of expanding it. Even some WNBA veterans chimed in, cautioning that this narrative war isn't helping the league. They warned that undermining a player like Clark, who's bringing in a new generation of fans, could backfire on the sport itself. Because if the WNBA becomes the place where every new talent is torn down the moment she rises, who's going to want to rise next? And perhaps the most powerful moment in all of this,
ESPN and claimed that Monica McDougal is an NBA analyst. Obviously, Monica never played in the NBA. Monica wasn't even good enough to play in the WNBA. Maybe that's why Monica seems to be jealous of Caitlin Clark.
When fans began comparing Clark's quiet resilience to the noise around her, she hasn't responded. She hasn't clapped back. No statements. No media drama. Just basketball. That silence. That discipline. It speaks louder than any hot take ever could. It's the kind of poise that only comes from someone who knows exactly what she's doing and where she's headed.
The reason that Caitlin Clark is getting all of this attention is because she is an anomaly. She is a phenomenal player.
As the dust began to settle from Monica McNutt's controversial remarks, something even more telling began to happen. People started digging deeper. They replayed the clip, analyzed the tone, questioned the motive. And what became increasingly clear was that this wasn't just a disagreement over basketball talent. This was personal. Not for Caitlin Clark, but for those who feel threatened by what she represents.
Number one revenue sport in America, what do you think it is? The NFL. How much you think they make? $17 billion. The NBA, a little over $11 billion. You guys are a $150 to $200 million company. You're operating at a loss every single year. You've never made money. It's called a zombie company. You're subsidized by the NBA.
A rookie who didn't wait her turn, who didn't play politics, and who still managed to steal the spotlight. But what critics like Monica failed to realize is that Clark's impact extends far beyond a highlight reel. She's not just a player with range and court vision. She's a movement, A cultural shift. A reason people who've never watched women's basketball before are now tuning in, buying jerseys, learning team names.
It's a lot easier for a 5'7" girl to relate to a 6' girl than it is a 6'5" woman who's angry and whose best friend is some transgender man that thinks he's a woman and who walks around preaching to little white girls, you got a privilege and you don't have to work as hard as me and you don't have to do as much as me, because they're not willing to have the true discussion about why Caitlin Clark is so popular.
That's not just hype. That's influence. That's the kind of force that leagues beg for. And yet, some insiders are treating it like a threat instead of a gift. As fans defended Clark online, something else happened. McNutt's words started unraveling. Her initial take was meant to spark conversation.
Kids that come from two-parent homes can relate to Caitlin Clark because they have more in common with her values and the way she presents herself.
But instead, it backfired spectacularly. Clips of Clark's sportsmanship, her humble interviews, her unshaken focus, they all began circulating again. And side by side with Monica's commentary, the contrast couldn't have been clearer. One woman throwing shade on live television, the other letting her game speak volumes.
Caitlin Clark is relatable and popular, and people want to see her play because she's exciting as heck to watch and because she's not filled with anger. People are attracted to joy.
Little girls are not the answer to the WNBA's financial problems. Why? Because little girls don't have money.
The most jaw-dropping moment, however, came when former WNBA stars began siding with Clark. Not because they had to, but because they recognized what was happening. They saw the same treatment years ago when certain players were elevated only to be torn down by others who couldn't stand the spotlight shifting. But Clark's case felt more intense, more public, more orchestrated, and people were finally starting to say the quiet part out loud. Jealousy disguised as critique is still jealousy.
Right, and that's what a lot of these women are doing, is they feel like what we have done for this game, this young player has come into our game, and she's getting way more respect and all that stuff than we are. As she should. The young girl is a baller. The young girl has people watching because of the way she can shoot this basketball like Steph Curry. Steph Curry can't dunk. Steph Curry don't do none of that in the game. He can probably dunk by himself, but he don't really do none of that in the game. He is a shooter, and fans tune in to see Steph Curry. When I look at Caitlin Clark, fans are tuning in to watch her, and you know who that's helping? Everybody else. It's helping the Asia Wilsons. It's helping everybody else, the Plums, all that. It's helping all of them, the Tarasis.
And through it all, Caitlin Clark hasn't said a word. Not one tweet, not one passive-aggressive post. Just practice. Just games. Just record after record. Broken under the weight of expectation. While Monica McNutt was drowning in a sea of criticism, Clark kept building her island of greatness. Unbothered, unshaken, and unbelievably focused. This situation exposed more than just a bad take. It exposed the fragility of egos around someone who's doing what was supposedly impossible.
Asia Wilson should be centered and they should be celebrating her. And all the little white girls should want to be like Asia Wilson. Little black girls don't want to be like Asia Wilson.
She's not just surviving in the WNBA, she's commanding it. And no amount of opinion pieces, pointed remarks, or media spin can change the one thing no one can take from her, the scoreboard. At the end of the day, Monica McNutt's attempt to downplay Caitlin Clark's influence didn't just miss the mark. It ignited a wildfire she couldn't contain. What started as a media jab turned into a public reckoning, not just for her, but for everyone who doubted Clark's rise.
There's so many players who cite you as an inspiration for their games, including Caitlin Clark, who's just absolutely a phenomenon in college. What's that next step like for her?
You know, next steps, gosh, in this generation, right? You have, I think, just so many more challenges of how to handle yourself as an adult, right? You go through that whirlwind of being a senior in college, transitioning into the W. And then the next step is how to become just an even better leader. And so much of leadership, I think, is listening and learning. And hopefully the more she can get connected to vets in the league and just different people and coaches and anyone that she can glean wisdom from of how to just continue to learn how to be as a connected and inspiring leader as she can be. And a lot of that is walking the walk and not just talking the talk. So she's already on her way, but, continuing to have fun, continuing to anticipate how people are going to try to stop her and being prepared as she can be for next season.
And while critics tried to tear her down with words, Caitlin responded the only way she knows how, by dominating the game, proving every minute on that court why she's not just a rookie sensation. She's the future of the league. So whether you love her or can't stand the noise around her, one thing's certain: Caitlin Clark isn't going anywhere. And if this backlash has taught us anything, it's that the more they try to dim her light, the brighter she shines. This wasn't just about basketball. This was a reminder: greatness doesn't need permission, and it sure doesn't need defending.
It almost felt like marketers were trying to figure out, like, yeah, we have all of these amazing players and these amazing personalities, but can we push the demographic? And then when Caitlin Clark got to the league, the Angel Reeses got to the league, and they might have been fouled hard. The same thing I saw happen with Shamika Holsclaw, though.
You see my tooth knocked out?
Yeah,
Rookie season, Jewel Lloyd. My tooth knocked out. I still didn't get it.
So how do you?
It's cool.
T-Clark, how do you feel about the fact that all of a sudden it was, oh, it's too physical. Oh, they're going at him because they're stars. What was your reaction to some of the new viewers and fans to the game thinking that the WNBA was too rough?
It was a crazy season because we have never had so much momentum behind our league, so much support, demand, viewership, all that, accessibility. But the craziness that came with the new fandom was rooted in something other than fandom, right? And I think that's very evident to see across the board. In a lot of ways, it has not been about basketball. Like, we can talk about, you know, people getting fouled. I just showed you my tooth getting knocked out. Like, that's been a part of the game. The game has always been physical. I can tell you the amount of times I've left with bloody lips and eyes. I have bruises all over my body, even from the game last night. You can see bruises on my elbow from last night. Like, it's just a part of the game. So there was no targeting. There was no nothing.
Right.
That narrative that got spun into, oh, the vets hate the rookies hate the vets are going after certain players. It's all bullshit. Like, if I'm just going to be frank, it's all bullshit. What it is racism, right? It gets blown up into, oh, they're going after Caitlin Clark, but no, we're just playing one of the best players that's in this league the way that any other best player, franchise player is going to get played. Watch how Stewie gets played. Watch how Asia gets played. Watch how Enrique gets played. Watch how Khalid gets played. Go down the list of franchise players for every team. They be getting fucked up every game. It don't matter what position you are, what color you are, what school you came out of. This is how we feed our families. Our job is to go and win. And if we don't win, what happens? We get fired. We lose our jobs. So
facts. Caitlin Clark is getting mauled, no calls. Ryan Clark is a clout chaser that stinks at sports commentary. His co-hosts aren't worth mentioning. Natasha Cloud, a.k.a. Natasha Clown, is running the race baiting media because she's average at best in the W, and now she's stuck in Connecticut because she stinks.